ladies and gentlemen. We hope you continue to do well. I wanted to give you an explanation about what our next project will be, our next group of activities. So before we jump into our next project, we need to gain a little bit of background information. So our next unit is going to be our narrative writing unit. So prior to starting that, we have to learn some ideas about narrative writing before we jump into writing. Now, narrative writing you've been doing through all of your elementary school career, so it should be pretty easy for you. If you need to find these videos later on, it's going to be down here in the weekly videos folder. So this week, you have to click on your narrative writing activities folder. And if you notice, you're going to have to complete all 3 of these this week. Now, they're all very short, so don't stress about that. So the first thing you have to do is click on point of view. Point of view is how books or any sort of written passage is written. There are different points of view that you can write in. So let's take a look, let it open. Your first option is your first person narration. It's told from the viewpoint of the writer or the character. Look for I, we, me, mine. So here's an example. I reckon I got to light out for the territory ahead of the rest because Aunt Sally, she's going to adopt me and civilize me, and I can't stand it. I've been there before, from Mark Twain. So this gives the readers a direct understanding of the character's thoughts and feelings. The second person narration, or the second person point of view, is where the author or narrator tells the story directly to the reader. You, your, yours are things to look for. If you want to spot a second person point of view in a piece of writing, make sure you pay attention to the pronouns being used, such as you, your, and yours. Most common in instructional writing, but can be used for fictional adventure books too. And the third option is, in fact, the third person narration, or third person point of view. This is when the author uses a narrator to tell the story, but does not reveal the thoughts or feelings of the characters. He, she, they, and character names are what you should look for. She was sitting there waiting for something or somebody, and since sitting and waiting was the only thing to do just then, she sat and waited with all her might and main. The point of view is meant to be objective and unbiased. So, now that you've read that, you go back to the point of view folder. Next, you have to look at the point of view notes. You have to read them over. When you read them over, you can open them using Kami, and you're going to have to annotate and fill in some information. So, first person point of view, you go back to the point of view notes. You can actually open them in 2 different windows, put them side by side if you would like, and you copy definitions told from the point of view of the writer or the character. So you go back, you have a text box that opens up, told from, and you can continue on from there. You have to type in words you need to look for, and you can type in the example that's given. So that should be pretty easy for you to do, copying from both. Then you go back and you have a point of view check-in. It's a quick matching. Show you what it looks like. Matching examples with the first person, second person, or third person point of view. That's your first task. So let's X out of this, and we'll go back to our narrative writing activities. Your next folder that you need to complete activities is the voice folder. So the voice folder, you have to read the voice notes. Again, you're going to open this with Kami. So this has the notes and questions written right on the same page. So here's voice. Voice is the particular language an author uses to create personal and emotional writing. Voice conveys passion, and when a reader pays attention, it is quite simple to identify a piece of writing with voice and one without. For example, think about the last chapter you read in a novel compared to a set of directions you recently read. A novel and its narrators convey emotions, whereas the directions to set up your TV remote are very impersonal. So you need to continue to read this. You can use your text-to-speech, and you can have it read to you. So you highlight what needs to be read and you press play. There it goes. So continue to read this, then go over to your text box, fill in how is voice defined, type in your answers, and when you're finished filling this out, you have to click Turn In. You have to do the same thing with your narrative, with your point of view notes as well. So when you're finished filling it in, click turn in, and then we will get it on our end and be able to grade it for you. So after you're done with the voice notes, you go back to the voice folder. And again, there's a quick matching activity for you to do. Notice that it says you must score at least 4. When you're done with the voice folder, go back to your narrative writing activities, click on the dialog box, and oh look, there's some information here for you about adding dialogue to your writing. So here's an answer key, rules 1, 2, and 3, and the dialogue in action. Same thing, you're going to open it with Cami. And here's some examples for you to read. So see 4 dialogue rules in action in the example below. So you can go back to the dialogue notes to understand the different forms of dialogue here. So let's look at those again. So rule 1 always uses a quotation mark around a direct speech. Rule 2, punctuation goes inside quotation marks. Usually it's a comma, but a question mark or exclamation point may also be used. A period is still needed since it's at the end of a sentence. So the example is, what time is it? Notice the question mark within the quotation marks. Rule 3, use commas to identify when direct speech is occurring. Joaquin said, comma, I'm leaving. See the period within. And rule 4, indent each time a new speaker is saying something. So now we go back to our dialogue examples here. Are you ready to go, comma, Daryl, question mark, and quotation marks. Called mom from the bottom of the staircase, comma, it's almost 10 o'clock. So now you can take a look at these. See the different types of examples here. Notice that we're indenting when new people are talking. Now you need to take this body of writing and follow all of the dialogue rules. The dialogue rules that you saw over here, using quotation marks, putting the quote punctuation within, putting a comma after who is saying what, and indenting each time a new speaker is saying something. So same thing as you did before. You will click your text box. You will start typing. Caleb spotted Jocelyn out of the corner of his eye. He jogged over to her locker. Oops, hold typo there. And now it says, do you have the algebra notes from class yesterday? Now, is that somebody talking? So you would have to hit enter, hit indent, put your quotation marks in, and then start typing. So that's your task. Again, when you're finished, you click turn it in. Those are your activities, ladies and gentlemen, for this week. When you complete all of those, you'll be ready for next week to move on to our next activity, which we think you're really going to enjoy. So you kind of need a little bit of background before that. So this week, continue to complete all these activities, finish your slam paragraph, which is due Friday, and you should be good to go. We are available for office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 o'clock. And then also take a look at the update for when your class will have their class meeting each week as well. Thank you so much. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.